in Lagos State. We've seen a lot of blockbuster movies that have generated box office revenues. We've also seen a lot of collaboration in that space as well. So seated with me are stakeholders within that industry, experts within that industry that would engage in conversation around the theme for today's conversation, which is positioning Lagos as Africa's international media city. And you can agree with me that that's a tall order, but it's not impossible. So Lagos State has put together a development plan, which we're going to speak to today. So on my far right, I have a popular face. On my far left, I have a popular face. She's Mrs. Zainab, Ms. Zainab Balogun. Zainab is a Nigerian-British actor, an entertainer, and an influencer. So she's been in this sector for a while now, and she's been known for outstanding roles in top Netflix features. So some of the popular movies she has featured in is The Wedding Party, Sylvia, The House of Hibiscus, and God Calling. So let's put our hands together and welcome Zainab Balogun. And on my far left, next to her is our Honorable Commissioner, the Honorable Commissioner of Lagos State Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Uzamat Akimbile Yusuf. Please, let's put our hands together for her. And sitting next to our Honorable Commissioner is Mr. Linus Idahosa. He's the founder and chairman of Del York International Group, a very fast-rising conglomerate that consists of companies in the media, public relations, vocational education, and specialist infrastructure development. Please, let's put our hands together for Mr. Linus Idahosa. And next to me on my right is Mr. Grant Housley. He is Paramount Pictures in Los Angeles, in the United States. Please, let's put our hands together for Mr. Grant Housley. And next to Mr. Grant Housley, I have Mr. Idris Olorunibe. Mr. Idris Olorunibe of DB Studios. Please put your hands together for Mr. Idris. Thank you very much. Thank you. So just moving on straight into the conversation. Our Honorable Commissioner, Lagos State has put together a Lagos State Development Plan. And one of the thematic areas that have been considered is arts and entertainment. Kindly give us an overview of the plan that Lagos State has for this particular sector and how you want people to key into that.
Good afternoon, everyone. The moderator and my co-panelist, it is a pleasure to be here. When you are talking about the Lagos State Developmental Plan, which we are all eager to see after this deliberation, when we are talking about tourism, art, and entertainment, in the past few years, so many things have been put together, and I know we still have a very long way to go as far as tourism, art, and entertainment is concerned. But the most proactive one the Lagos State government has been able to achieve in the last few years, especially last year, is the presentation of the 30 years master plan for tourism with an engagement with all the stakeholders in this sector. And now we already have the 30 years master plan to drive tourism in Lagos State. But this master plan cannot go far without the participation of the private sector, because the government are the regulator and the private sector are actually the people that are in the business of tourism, art, and culture. So for us to be able to really fill in the gaps of all these things that the Lagos State government is planning to achieve in another 30 years, we actually need the full participation of the private sector to drive it. The strategic position of the master plan is we have the 6 sectors in this master plan, which speak to different sectors that we need to develop in the tourism sector. We have the culture and heritage. We have the film, art, and entertainment. We have the MICE, which is the meeting, incentives, conferences, and exhibition. Then we have the wellness and medicals. And lastly, we have the adventure. And with all this sector that we've put together, if we're able to develop it very well proactively, I believe Lagos State in another 10 years will be the best destination that people will be talking about in Africa and beyond.
Please, I think we need to put our hands together for Lagos State. That's a very comprehensive plan, that they have. But I mean, with the plan in mind, I think we're starting from where we are. Mr. Idahosa, can you give us an overview of, the arts, media, and entertainment sector in Lagos State as it stands today?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a talk
Yeah, but
that you've just given to me. But the thing is this. I think we're pretty much in native stages, and why I would say that is because the foundation that is needed to take the industry to the next level is just being built. And I think that Lagos State is in a position that countries like India or the United States, particularly referencing Los Angeles, was about 30 years ago, where there was an unsearchable thirst for kind of harnessing or using the talents that they found that they had and mobilizing the energies of these talented artists in the right direction. What you'll find right now within the creative industry is a bundle of incredible talents. And these are guys who are not just thinking or talking about structures, but looking for ways to take on their God-given talents and make commercial success out of it. So what is needed pretty much more than anything else is to recognize that there are certain countries and certain states that possess a type of DNA. And in Lagos, for example, like in New York or in Georgia or in London, it's a very vibrant state. And you find people who are just naturally talented people, and they're very young people. What you will find common with the likes of the countries I've just mentioned, including Dubai now recently, is that their governments understood that these guys are thinking differently, and the creative energies that they have on the inside of them needs to be expressed differently. And they declared a state of emergency within that particular sector, and began to understudy countries that had actually, created industries that worked for them. Let's take, for example, how Hollywood came to be, right? Now, this is a small location in Los Angeles, but when you had a lot of Eastern Europeans trooping in, people who were already involved in filmmaking, they were looking for a place where they could find a good location for them to shoot their movies, looking for a place where they could find the right type of talents, and then shoot or do productions that would cost them little or nothing, and then they make profit. So for them, it was a business, right? And so they identified a location because they had all of the same trappings that Lagos State has right now. So these are industries that grow organically. But when you as a government understand that we have something here, and that by virtue of our design as young people, we are pretty much similar to these same Americans or folks who understand the creative side that they have, but lack the ingenuity to be able to transform that into commerce. So what I feel that's where I feel Lagos State is, or the creative industry is in Lagos now, is at that level where the right type of financiers for the industry can begin to merge with creative people to come up with a model that would help the industry get to the next phase. Our talents are people who concentrate more on their artistic giftings, right? But how to now begin to commercialize that through distribution models or structures needed for them to go to the next level, that is what the industry needs to be focusing on right now. So I think we're in a very interesting space, and what is needed is for a government or folks within the private sector who understand that this is a ticking bomb that has the potential to become one of the most successful industries you'll find anywhere in the world, to take advantage of that and begin to build the structures needed for the industry to go to the next phase.
Thank you very much, Linus. I like that. It's a ticking bomb. It's a ticking bomb. You know, so when we look at where we are right now, to the plan, the laudable plan that the Lagos State has, maybe looking at film specifically, Zainab, what are the challenges that we see, you know, currently in the industry, and maybe suggested solutions as to how, you know, we can deal with it from a private sector perspective?
So, as a creative, there's nothing more frustrating than having all of this talent and energy and not being able to funnel it in the right way. Some of the issues that we have is that the fact that a number of people, a number of practitioners are actually self-taught. So they haven't been given the platforms and the opportunities to be able to educate themselves to be up to par with, say, our Western or foreign counterparts. A lot of people are finding themselves teaching themselves via online platforms like YouTube and whatnot, and it stops there. So you don't have an opportunity for you to just keep up with what's happening with the rest of the world. And this trickles not only in the skills aspect, but also in the use of technology. So the kind of equipment that we're using, the kind of cameras, the kind of sound equipment, all of this not only affects the production quality, but you know, the overall products that we're able to put out there for an audience to enjoy. I believe that, you know, everything for me starts with education. Having a place where young people, hubs, having teaching schools, places that are a 360 format. Not only can you learn from these places, but then you can immediately be put into the right kind of workforce, or the right kind of production houses or cinema houses, to be able to learn the creative aspect as well as the business aspect of filmmaking. There's, outside of that, the infrastructure or the infrastructural issues that we have. As Mr. Linus mentioned, finding a decent place to shoot and decent conditions without having to deal with, or being able to go to a place where you can get all of your questions answered, all of your permits given to you. These are the little things that make it easier for us to be able to produce these great movies that people like to watch. So just streamlining some of those issues would literally allow us to just focus on the part that's really important for us, which is the conception, the curating of these projects, and just delivering and being able to show our talent at on a bigger platform.
Thank you, Zainab. I mean, so when you look at these challenges, they look like a lot, and this is just speaking to film. Mr. Idris, I mean, are there other challenges when we look at the arts, entertainment, and media industry that we need to also look at, affecting the industry from actually growing and becoming that energy, the revenue space in Lagos State?
Good evening, everyone. So I think that the two main problems have been highlighted by Linus and the birthday girl. There are two deficits. There's an infrastructure deficit and there's a skill deficit. Now, what I may add, perhaps in response to Zainab, is that the Lagos State government has actually done quite a bit in the area of addressing the skill deficit. As I speak, the Temple Company, through our Gidi Creative Center, we're training 200 people, and across 10 disciplines. Script writing, media studies, fashion design, sound design, and so on and so forth. And I know that Del York has done quite a number. I know that Ebony Life has done. I know that on the private side, I know that MultiChoice, they have a talent factory that they do every year. But it's not enough. I think that we can do more. Like you said, I mean, most of the people need to even first unlearn because a lot of what we know, we learn the wrong way. And when you learn, I mean, see the way he's maneuvering that camera, and I see, and I don't know why. And I carry a camera, and that's the only way I take photos. I mean, maybe three-quarters of my photos won't be good. So, I mean, in terms of skill acquisition and increased knowledge, I mean, we have to do more. I was part of a delegation to Toronto a few weeks ago, and we had to redesign our curriculum when I came back because we visited some of the schools, and what I found was that, so I'll take music for instance. So typically, when we're training producers in Nigeria, you see a screen and you see them like an audience. So went to this school in Toronto called Trebas. And I entered their classroom, and it was a laboratory. Everybody had their own systems, everybody had their own keyboards, everybody had individual stuff, and I was like, well, if the people we are training are going to compete with these guys, they must have the same thing that these guys have, and we upgraded immediately. So the classroom where we are teaching people sound designer, everybody has a system. So it's not alternative to practical that we're used to. It's actually practical. And so I think that what the solution perhaps lies in the private sector more than anything else or anyone else. Government can only regulate for us. For instance, I know that there's a film city, there's a media city, and so on and so forth. Issue me yourself. Just issue it to me, give me terms. The money is local. Before the international money comes in, they must see that we have skin in the game. And that was why we did Ogidi Studios and spent all that money that we could have taken out or used to build houses to sell or something. Because we believe, the creative sector, ignore it at your own risk. When you hear, like where it works, Paramount, their studio lot is a city in itself. And I'm sure they have more than one. And there's multiple of it all over the states. So, we like Lino said, we're just at the beginning, but the future is so bright. We're so excited to be here. And Madam knows, we're your willing partners to achieve the goals that this administration has set. And will continue to be just that.
Thank you, Idris. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm hearing several words. So ignore this sector at your own risk. Ignore it at your own risk.
Grant, I was going to ask. So Paramount Pictures, you've created something that's phenomenal. When I said you were from Paramount Pictures, I heard wow from the guys. So what is it, there? How have you transformed it to become a wow? And what are the things that you think Lagos State can take, can learn or leverage from what you have done and take the leap to actually achieve this development goal that we plan to achieve?
Thank you all for being here. Good evening. It is a challenge. Major studios have had 100 years of development, and we continue to develop, right? Every year, we continue to build on that foundation that started, like I say, over 100 years ago for some. I agree with everyone. It is, in order to obtain an industry, you need a strong foundation for that industry. I've been coming to Lagos and training for DCA, Deal Your Creative Academy, for 12 years now. I have witnessed the change, and I hope everybody else has noticed, seeing the leap forward. And within the last 5 to 7 years, it's been like a huge Olympic leap forward. But I do agree that there is a ticking bomb because the content is getting better, and the better the content becomes, it's going to need a place to go. And what the great thing about the internet, it's a gift and a curse because it can leave here and that dollar will not remain here, that naira will not remain here, it'll go somewhere else. It'll become a US dollar, a yen, it'll become a euro, it becomes something else. Right? You create wealth by keeping the dollar in-house enough times before it leaves, that it passes hands enough here. You're allowing the best talent that you have to develop and go take it there. That infrastructure is sorely needed. So what the studios have is a strong infrastructure. It is the building. It's definitely the control factor. They are small cities because you do need to control everything inside. If you have a location and you're shooting and it starts to rain, you have to stop your location. Or you just shoot through the rain. Then you have a continuity problem. Then you have a ton of other problems. So it's not that the content doesn't work. It's just not appropriate for the market today. I'm sure everybody's aware and watching all of the great movies and TV shows that are coming out of here right now. Right? I'm a super fan. Right? I'm a super fan. They can only go so far unless they follow up with another one and another one and another one. The reason why the streaming services are what they are today is because they've gone into all these other places and grabbed these catalogs of old titles and put them up for people to see over and over and over again. What does the Nigerian, what does the West African archival film look like? Not only the ones that are being produced today, but the ones of old, because you're going to need those as well. Because you have to show the growth palette. But once you start growing, you can't stop. And today, the technology today, it does not stop. Tech is big business, but tech business is also creative business. Our world is creative business. So for private sector, it makes sense. This is an industry. This is an industry. It's not just a place to go make a nice little movie or make some music or put on some fashion. It is an industry. You need electricians. You need carpenters. You need crafters. You need people who cook. You need people who clean. Those jobs in that era is from 12 to 87. You're a master at what you do. You need everybody to be involved because that is how you do it. That is the secret is honing in on your own and creating from there. But you need infrastructure. You need the training. It's just that simple. No matter how good you are at what you do, you can always be better. You can always be better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Grant.
It's interesting. I mean, we keep hearing infrastructure, skill, capacity building as one of the key challenges. So when we talk infrastructure, it's a lot of numbers. You've spoken about technology. Idris, how do you assess the investor confidence? What's the appetite of investors towards investing in Lagos State, and how can it be enhanced?
Okay, so before, people. Okay, no. In the past, the business side of the industry run by practitioners. So you find that the actor is also one who is the director, the one building the business plan, is the one chasing the investors and all of that. But that has changed significantly. I think that, like you heard her say, all she wants to do is act. She just wants to know what her call time is, get there, be comfortable, run her lines, and go and be comfortable. And so I think that the commitment from the public sector first, because like I said, an enabling environment is critical, because nobody wants to bring money in and then the policy changes and then you're trapped. And then the second is the integrity of the players on the private sector side. And I think that I can say without fear of contradiction that the group that I belong to, the company that I work for, and the board that I report to are perhaps the best of Nigeria. And I'm sure that Del York will tell you that same story about them and the integrity that they carry and so on and so forth. So, I mean, the more people outside who have the goal, who have the vision, and again, it's a long game. So a lot of people who want to invest as well want to invest today and collect their money in 9 months, as if it's yam we are planting. But that's not, we need long-term money. Because you've heard 100-year legacies. And I mean, it wasn't easy for them either when they started. But it will get easier. So, I mean, and again, skin in the game, which I've mentioned. And, you know, the impact is huge. He's mentioned it. It's actually really, I said that it takes a village to create a movie or even a song. Because seriously, if this was a movie set with 6 of us as actors, we could have this many people on the other side of the camera. And then downstairs there's somebody hustling food. So I mean, it would remove a significant part of our problems in terms of unemployment, because I mean it absorbs, and content never expires. He was talking about catalog, and when he talked about Zainab and I looked at each other, you know, just thinking that, well, I mean, recently I heard somebody trying to find the catalog for something that was showing in the 70s. I don't know if they found it, but it's part of the little problems that we have. We've not stored things in the best ways. I mean, so we're not as lucky as the guys who made stuff in the 80s stateside would be. But I mean,
You have technology, so you can fix some of those things.
yes, if we find it.
Yes.
So, but we have to find it first. You know. So, but again, it's the people that will make sure that that money comes to people in government and the people like us outside government.
Add your 2 cents to investor appetite for, Lagos State as an investment destination when it comes to this particular sector.
All right, so I think we first of all have to understand that this whole business of the creative industry is a science. So if you understand it, you can actually get it right. And when you approach it as a business, it changes everything. A lot of our people, just like what our friend here was saying, a lot of people who are artists currently in this country, some of the most talented people, are incredibly broke. And it's not a mistake that that is happening. There is a science for understanding the business of the creative industry. And that science in a country like ours requires the full support and imprimatur of the government and the private sector together to see that this particular industry is what will take Nigeria to where it needs to go. No other industry. And the people who have done it, what needs to be done is there needs to be a concerted attempt to get professionals to understudy one country and see how they did, or a state. Let me give an example. Georgia in Atlanta, right? Hollywood, everyone was talking about the strength and the power of Hollywood and the billions they were raking in. And guys, mind you, when you talk about entertainment companies like Paramount and all of these companies, our oil and gas companies in this country pale insignificantly to the kind of revenues that come out from those countries per month. Those companies. So in other words, the entertainment industry is a billion-dollar industry. The animations industry that we talked about earlier on today is a $128 billion industry, and Africa's share in the global trade for animated products is still less than 2%, not Nigeria. So in other words, we haven't factored or figured out a way to take advantage of these industries. And unfortunately, the players in the industry do not understand what collaboration is, unfortunately. Everybody is the master of their own subjectivity. You want to do your own studio, you want to do your own this, you want to do your own stuff. So there's no collaboration to create something that is bigger than you as an individual. And unfortunately, the people who engineer the change we see in this industry, I remember someone singing Cockroach at Dawn recently, and it brought nostalgic memories to me. All the Babasues and the village headmaster, all of those. We have to start celebrating those that have gone before us. The foundations that they laid and the mistakes and errors that they made are part of our success story. So going back to Georgia, they realized that Hollywood was making all the billions and they wanted to build a viral industry for themselves. What did they do? In 2008, they initiated a specialized tax rebate. And before setting that up, what they wanted to do was to attract the investors you're talking about. And they set it up and made it so interesting, so inviting. And they started getting in players from all across the United States to come in and do productions there. Studios like Trillit Studios, Pinewood Studios, Tyler Perry and the rest of them started coming in. Why? Because it made sense. You want to shoot $1 billion, a movie that's supposed to cost you, a picture is supposed to cost you about $400 million. You can shoot it for $200 million. It makes sense to have it situated in your state. And so when they did that, before 2008, the revenue that the state was generating was about $241 million. As at 2018, Georgia was generating over $9 billion. So we're talking about a 100-year plan. We're talking about a plan for just about 10 years from 2008, from 241 million up onto to about $9 billion from one state in America. We have 36 states in Nigeria, just like the United States, right? So what I'm saying in essence is there is a science that is involved. Get a group of people, go to this country, sit with them, spend 3 months, understand what they did wrong, where we are right now, how we can harness the growth of this industry, and then begin to do it. And we started training people. It's interesting, Zainab and our friend was talking about capacity building and infrastructure. 10 years, Grant, how many years now? 12 years ago, we flew in the entire faculty of the New York Film Academy into Nigeria. This whole thing you hear about film schools everywhere, and I'm like, people have been saying we don't make noise. Maybe it's time for us to start making noise. Del York has been at the center of building capacity for Nigeria's creative industry for the past 12 years. We did not get any support from any government, so we had people who understood what we were trying to do. Right? And we started doing that. It was painful, it was stressful, flying Jewish New Yorkers from New York all the way down with other powerful players in the industry who only think about investments and money. We flew them in, and since then, he's here. He has been training students at our academy. If you go to our academy now, you see thousands hundreds of students there. They're trained on a daily basis. But we know that that is not enough, like everyone here has said. That is just the foundation. So what we're trying to do now is, in partnership with the Lagos State government, is to now begin to build the infrastructure that is needed to take the industry to the next level. And mind you, we had all of these things planned from the very beginning. Why? Because I think as a businessman, it's not just artistic. I want to see talents in the industry begin to make money out of their craft. And to do it, you don't do it making noise, you do it quietly. And that quiet movement is actually going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Linus. You know, when you said $1 billion, I just saw the HC. Just when you said, she has started activating the system that will come out of it. So, HC, I just wanted to know, you know, they've been talking about infrastructure. Maybe speak to us about the existing infrastructure, about plans you have, you know, to create that environment, and the existing structures you have to ensure that we get those investors into real estate.
Thank you so much. Yes, there's lot of deficiencies when we are talking about the infrastructure in Lagos State that we need to meet, and that is what the master plan speaks to. But this infrastructure we are talking about is so enormous that government alone cannot do as much as we need. So that is why we continue to believe in the private sector, because the tourism is money spinning. Like I said, 10 years ago, 2008, they were making this amount of money. In 10 years after, huge amount of money has gone into the investment that was made then. So, means that if we have private sector participation in all this infrastructure deficit that we have in Nigeria today, then the private sector can actually make much more profit. And the only thing we will continue to do is to partner with the private sector and ensure that we enable the environment. All the bottleneck, yes, I admit to that, that a lot of bottleneck are in the government process that can piece people out of it. But what the government are planning with this the summit we are trying to say is how to actually enable and make it a much more better for us. Like we are planning to in the States, we are planning to be having some other agencies that will be particularly interested in all this infrastructure development that concerns tourism. And also, we are planning to have the Tourism Endowment Fund because we need so much money. And if you come to Lagos and you want to partner, we can as well support you with this fund because it's going to be a public PPP arrangement. We're going to put some money down, and we believe private sector too will be able to put some to drive tourism. If we are looking at the state budget on annual basis, cannot develop all this infrastructure that we are talking about in another 20, 30 years. But with the private sector participation, we can be deliberate and make it happen in another 5, 10 years. It is quite possible because I know that huge amount of money reside with us here in Lagos. But just for us to be able to do few things around the bottleneck that we have in the state and enable the environment for the private sector to actually come into play. Like we are going to be partnering with the York infrastructure very soon. Maybe tomorrow we'll be signing the MOU about the African Film City. We don't want to call it Lagos Film City again. Like the infrastructure Zainab was talking about, that there's need for us to have an academy that will be deliberate to be training these people in and out. Now we have like 4 or 5 partners in Lagos State under Lagos State Creative Industry Initiative that has been partnering with Lagos State government to train and upskill, even get raw talent trained in this industry. And so much success story has been seen on this journey so far. But yet, we still have a very long way that we need to make up to. Like by the time we are done with this African Film City, then we will be where we need to be in the creative sector, in the creative setting. Because we already have the space, we already have the land. As we speak now, the perimeter fencing of that land is ongoing. And so by the time we sign the MOU tomorrow, I believe the private sector that need to come on board to start developing this city. It's a whole city that we're talking about that. Now, yes, so in another 5, 10 years, we will be producing as much as we need to produce, and not our film boxes that we're talking about in Lagos State. Then we can continue to export it and get that billions dollar that Linus is talking about.
Thank you for making on that note. So Zainab, as we're talking about the Africa Film City, it's to address the skill gap that we have. What are the kind of things they should be thinking about doing in that film city? Maybe speak to that. You are in front of the camera, you see these gaps, reality, you see them real life. So what are the kind of areas they should be looking at to bridge, to ensure that we upscale our people, they're marketable, even in international?
The idea of an African media and film city is like a dream come true for me. I moved to Lagos 10 years ago, and I remember what the entertainment industry was like then and what it is now. To be able to see people who are even just as common as content creators. That wasn't a thing. Bloggers weren't a thing. And with this media city, I think this can be a breeding ground for all things entertainment. This can be a place where, you have, say, accelerators for startup film and entertainment businesses who don't know where to go or don't know where to even start to learn the business of film. There's so many creatives that, like Idris said, they're doing everything. They're the producers, the directors, they're the fundraisers, and they don't have the detail. They don't have the basic knowledge of of the business of film, which is completely different to the creative aspect of film. Having a place where people can literally come and have everything that they need from the production aspect in terms of being able to use the right type of equipment or partnering with foreign production houses and shadowing them and doing exchange programs. I think that would be a great idea. Having a place where it is a tourism spot as well. Like Hollywood and Paramount Studios are places that you can visit in America as just a lover of film or somebody who wants to be able to just learn the heritage of where that business started from. We have a very cagey nature as people, as Nigerians. It's me first. It's I want to be the first one to do this. And so we don't often share information. So having that kind of media city where it is a library of everything you need to know about the business, where to get started. It is a contact point. It is a village that will host academies and host award shows, and a place that is safe. When we talk about investment, the biggest thing is, for me as an investor, I want to know that wherever it is I'm putting my money, it is safe and it is a place where I can get that return back from. So for us to be able to show these investors that, not only can we shout about the fact that our movie and a movie in the box office did 500 million naira, it's being able to show them the science that this is where your money goes and this is how your money will come out. That comfort and that security is also important. So I am excited about this prospect, and I hope to use the Media City and put together a few productions myself. So we definitely need the support, and I must say that Lagos State has definitely been doing the work. It is shown in some of these partnerships that you've mentioned, and a lot of these young people have gone on to do amazing things. So yeah, kudos to the state on that.
Thank you. So with a lot of these laudable plans that Lagos State has, what are we doing now to ensure the city policy development and the commission?
Thank
I'll
you.
give you 1 minute to answer.
I will be first. So, like, we are all aware that we are just a sub-region in Nigeria and we don't have the sovereignty of the nation. But despite that, we'll be partnering with NCC to ensure that what we call piracy and collection of the intellectual properties of others are being prevented as far as Lagos State is concerned. We started that before, and we put about the policy, the standard policy that will regulate. And as government, what we are doing much more is about regulation and standardization of the sector, and we ensure that we protect the intellectual properties of the partners, of the players, in a way that they will, when they invest in Lagos, they will believe that their investment is safe, it belongs to them, even belongs to their generation yet unborn. We will partner with the Lagos State House of Assembly to promulgate an appropriate law to ensure that everything that comes to Lagos State is well protected as far as intellectual property is concerned.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Grant, when you were speaking, you said, the industry is big and you have people from 12 years to 27 years. That's generational. And we see this particular industry, both consumers of the content and the producers of the content span several generations. How do we continue to attract, especially the younger ones, into this industry, and ensure that the older ones also stay relevant in this industry as we transit to make Lagos the international media city, Africa the international media city?
That's a great question, by the way. Uh, the great thing about the entertainment industry is it is for all. People of all ages, all colors, all backgrounds, no matter where you're from. You're able to join in as African Americans that finally kind of got our little seat at the table within the entertainment structure is you can create generational wealth. There are many producers of films from 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s who kids come on, become actors or grips or editors because their parents were part of this industry. So the industry itself as a whole builds generational wealth. It's a world that controls itself, right? It controls itself and everything in it. Right, it is surrounded by four walls, and if we want it to rain, we make it rain. If we don't want rain, we don't have rain. You know, we hear people. I'm sensitive to sound. I can hear phones ringing, people talking, because in my world you can't do that. So I can really hear it. I'm really sensitive. I just heard somebody's office phone ring because I'm used to a world where we control those things. And what that does is it makes the content 90% better. And with better content, you can reach a better audience and a bigger, broader audience. You can sell any and everything you want right here locally, and then everybody who has bandwidth will reach out to try to find some kind of way to get a piece of that too. And that's where the business side comes in. Right? The business infrastructure of this is just that. That's why you hear a lot of us, from actors to producers to the governor to the lieutenant governor to Linus to all the creatives. Everybody's sort of asking the same question, like, where do we go from here? Right? You're building the foundation of it, but now there has to be the next step above. But you can also create that, and if that does work, that's what the ticking time bomb is. If it does work, the entertainment industry does not fail. If you have infrastructure.
Thank you. It doesn't fail. So we've heard quite a lot of things, the business side of arts and entertainment, and that arts and entertainment, there's a science to it. Wow. There's a science to it. You can scan the barcode. There's a barcode if you're online, if you're right here in the room, on site. If you scan the barcode, you can drop your questions there. And for those who are online, please just post your questions online, and they would actually get to me, and then I can ask the panelists. But one more question before we open up the floor for the panelists to the audience to actually ask their questions to the panelists. When you look at the art and entertainment industry, we've talked about skill acquisition and capacity building, training. We've talked about film city as planned by Lagos State. How do we retain this talent? By the time you make that investment, you help them build capacity. They're exportable. They produce content that you can consume at any part of the world. How do we ensure that we take these talents within Lagos State and continue to generate the revenue and generate the content that we need to export?
No, I think it's So I think, first of all, I think it's somewhat of a contradiction in terms, if you look at it, because when you want to build a skyscraper, you dig deeper into the earth because you want a very tall building. You want to build an industry, all you need to do is create the right environment, the ecosystem that is needed for them to be able to thrive. So it's like fish in water. Once they find out that they're in the right environment. Look, recently we had the opportunity of visiting, I think the commissioner was on that trip as well. We visited a studio in Atlanta, and it's called Trillit Studios. Just a week before, Kanye West had actually gone there to meditate and write some of his songs. Why? Because When Pinewood was first created, I mean, a guy called Kathy, who was the owner of Trillion Studios, what he did was he bought over Pinewood Studios um, from the owners at the time. And his vision was to create a community of creatives within the studio setting. Now, the former owners didn't like that idea, but that was what he wanted to do. Now, he built that entire creative community in less than 4 years. But right now, you can't find any space there. They're expanding. Then the studios they have, the sound stages they have about 25 sound stages, making them the second largest film studio in the whole of North America, right? But ladies and gentlemen, that studio is booked up until 2025, fully booked. Yes. Now, some of the movies we have watched, like Wakanda, and they were shot there. These are African stories. The Woman King was shot in South Africa, but a West African story. So think about the billions of dollars that we are losing to African stories all over the world. The thing is, if you create, like Dubai, and now Dubai is facing the creative industry like no other country, even Saudi Arabia is doing the same. They're turning some of their deserts to film locations for people to come in and shoot. So if you build, they will come.
Just create the right environment, have
Yes.
the right structures, and people. Even if it's not the people who train up, but other people will come.
They will come and they will remain there.
Yes, thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? Unfortunately, you have to scan the barcode and ask your question. So while we're waiting for the question, Idris, I was also going to ask, so when you look at the talent, and in terms of building talent, creating, helping build capacity within that sector, and considering what you're doing, that's a lot of investment. When you mentioned that you had to replicate what you saw abroad, and Zainab was also talking about, do exchange programs. When you have these sort of things, they go abroad, they see those things. What are we doing to attract the raw talent to get? How will they get access to these things? Because some of these things that the Honorable Commissioner mentioned, they might not be available to all. But how do you attract those natural raw talents where they are? How do you attract them to come and partake of this great initiative that you're driving?
So there are two ways. One way is by spotting them. And these days is easy to spot because, the world is the size of your cell phone. So you see, and I think that if you think about skits, you can look at them as mini auditions, for some of the people who do them. And people have gone from skits to doing great things. And then the other way is by the kind of opportunity that the Giddy Creative Center presents. Open call, it costs them nothing. Register, so one of the students in GCC said on Saturday that she wasn't going to register because she heard that it was government. And then somebody told her, no, Lagos State government is not like that, go ahead, register and all of that. And then when she got on the website and she saw the question, she was like, was this serious? So that's our way of trying to weed, trying to separate, the people who have a passion for it and who are very, very keen. And, so those are the two ways. But to answer something you didn't ask me, which is about getting those billions, of dollars, yes, the easiest thing to do is to write that policy that gives you the tax break and all of that. But that is the easy part of it. The difficult part is that when those guys come, they're accustomed to a level of excellence in terms of infrastructure and people. And we are not there yet. So even if the governor of Lagos State or even the president of Nigeria was to say today that come and shoot, we'll give you a tax break of so percent, they won't come because they're still going to spend that same amount of money either shipping crew or in post-production. So I think that the baby steps that have been taken so far by the Lagos State government in terms of building capacity, and now with this media city is the right way to go. And I think that whether we go to Atlanta to understudy for 3 months or not, I think that in 2032 we'll be able to sit down here to talk about how we took Lagos from million of dollars to the billions. I have no doubt about that.
All right. Do we have the questions now? We're talking about technology. I hope those questions are. Thank you. So the question is, how do we empower youths and young adults through skill acquisition programs? So I'll pose that question to you.
So it's very simple. So everything that we've talked about is, once you've heard 12 to 87, it's not a joke. The entertainment industry does not make waste. Everything is useful. And you don't retire. Because, for instance, I mean, if you are going to cast Zainab now, you are going to cast her as a babe. In the next 20 years, you are going to cast her as a mom. In 40 years, you are going to cast her as a grandma. You know, so, I mean, and by the time, in 40 years, I mean, she's an amazing actor now. Imagine how prolific she'll be in 40 years. So there's no waste in the industry. So all of these guys, the skill that we are teaching them, they can earn money with it from, in fact, some of them drop out to go and join film sets, which is part of the problem that we have. Because a lot of people are self-taught. So typically, if you go to a film set and you say that you can handle the camera like this, my brother here, 99% of the time, they're not going to ask for your certificates. They're going to try to see if you can handle it. And in many cases, the person who wants to see how you can handle it yourself taught himself. So he can't even tell. It's until when people like him come and see you and no, that's not how you do it. And that's the reality. But the skills that we're giving them, and part of what we have done with the GCC is that we've partnered with the University of Lagos and the Henley Business School. So we're also teaching them business acumen and entrepreneurship. So it's beyond the skill of or the talent of editing or creating and all of that, the business sense as well. So from the day you graduate, I am 100% sure that there's a job waiting for you on a set. If it's not a film set, it's a series set or a music video set. There's a job for you. I'm 100% sure of that.
You don't last in the job. You're quickly taking off. I like the part that, the entire production, there's no waste in the arts and entertainment industry. Everything is consumed. Everything is used. So there's another question. Is there any plan for the arts and entertainment industry outside movies and music? And that's closely tied to another question I see here. What's the role of fashion in the arts and entertainment industry? Maybe Commissioner, you can speak to that.
Thank you. They all tie together to creativity. When Idris was talking the other time, I think fashion is part of the training they are having as we speak now. So we are not leaving anyone loose. All of them are integral together to creative industry. So yes, you might see that, we're talking more about the acting, we're talking more about the directing and script writing. Doesn't mean that we are not seeing into fashion. Like Mr. Governor will be supporting Fashion Week. We've supported so many fashion initiatives in the past, and we're still going to continue to support that. Only that we are not training people in how to cut.
How to
Cut cloths. No, they run away.
To the,
That is still on.
Madam Commissioner's point, to her point, the fashion is part of creative industry. In television and film, everybody needs something to wear. If it's an old film, if it's a dated film, 1882, if it's AD, if it's 2090, that is wardrobe. Right, there's so everybody, again, it's an industry. So the carpenters, electricians, seamstress, everybody. Barbers, hairdressers, hair makeup, everybody is part of that industry. That same growth, that 12 to 8, again, same exact system. It is within that entire industry. So that's also why fashion and arts is such a huge part. We may not reference it enough as we should, but we don't have it without it.
there's really no arts and entertainment if you don't have fashion. People have to
It kind of defines who we are.
You don't believe it if they
You
don't.
can't take it.
Yeah,
From
You
seeing
can't
the
take it
outfit,
out.
yeah.
you can almost tell already what the direction is. It's all deliberate.
All right, thank you. So one of the questions here says, unlearning can be challenging where the environment is not enabling. But if the innovations are inculcated from foundation, what is the plan for children? So when we talk about training liners, is there any plan? Should we look at children, given that I know you mentioned something about it. The prospect you have to learn for those who are already in there. What's the plan to bring in children into the skill acquisition and capacity building?
No, I think it's wise, and this is one of the most important questions that you could ask, because I am incredibly very passionate about kids. I worry every day when I have to sit by my kid and help him kind of observe or guide what he watches, what he sees. Because, one of the things that we should understand about the film and creative industry is that everything you do, you're producing something that someone is consuming, right? And so we are consuming things that are going somewhere, and it's gradually helping us, making us make decisions that we're consciously or unconsciously aware of. Now, kids, within the animation space, Walt Disney is known specifically to focus on kids. And the reason why it's a big business is because they've understood what it means to commercialize or merchandise the products that are created out of the movies that they create. So it's a lifelong industry, hundreds and hundreds of years. So for our kids, you want to catch them very young. And a lot of them have, you can find how that they have started, you can glean certain types of skill sets from them early enough. If you begin to organize summer camps, you'll be surprised at what these people could actually begin to do. So we started that, I think that was, we announced the program, I think earlier on this year, for kids who are showing a lot of interest in the industry. From kids from 5 up until 12, right? Just to help them begin to, and it was interesting the number of parents that were sending their kids in. Formerly, if your child tells you want to go to a film school or you want to go and do acting or directing, they'll think something is wrong with you. But it's a totally different story. Now, so I think exploring the animation industry for kids, helping us create content that our kids can actually watch, is a huge industry that can be, a huge business rather, that can be explored currently.
Thank
Let me just add to what Lionel has just said. Also, we have the theaters across the division of the state. And all this theater for the summer school, I know the administrator of the theater have make it things of must for themselves that at that summer school, they train them different kind of art and craft. And like between that of the August, no, this last summer school, we have more than 300 children passed out of the summer school, learning different kind of art and crafts, including the creativity, painting, picking things. There's so many things from the waste to wealth. I saw some of their products and it was wow, it was really, really amazing. And those are the things we encourage them to be doing in our theaters across the state.
Thank you very much.
If I may, sorry, I know that
So I think they're taking their last words.
so,
Okay.
I mean, we've had Temple Kids for maybe about 4 years. Yes. So the name of I mean, somehow these days I'm known more as the CEO of Ogidi. So some people don't even know Ogidi what it is. They just know of Ogidi. So the parent company is the Temple Company. Ogidi is a subsidiary, Ogidi Studios, and then Gidi Creative Center is the training arm of it. So, but we've had Temple Kids, and in addition to having Temple Kids, we have the Start with Art. We have Try Sports. I mean, because whenever we talk about entertainment, we always forget that sports is actually a critical part of entertainment. It's the greatest live entertainment that you can ever watch. And we did have summer school as well. We had last year, we had this year as well. To cater to the need for our kids to be educated, I mean, or edutained, we've also developed Abebi. Abebi is a character that tells stories about people and places, celebrate our heroes, for our kids, because somehow our kids don't realize the kind of rich heritage that we have and the beautiful landscape that dots the whole of our country. So we're conscious of that as well, and I think that that's the second thing that you ignore at your peril, the future.
So we have actually come to the end of this discussion. So I'll just take, what do you want everyone here to go away with? Just 30 seconds. The last words, Zainab.
I would want everyone to go away knowing that Lagos State is working in the right direction. I want people to be ready to support us. I remember the times when we'd have to market movies at the cinema and literally sell tickets, and we'd have people come and buy tickets only for international products. And it would literally break my heart to be there as, a practitioner. And I want to be able to go back and see people, more and more people come in to literally pay and invest and support our industry. So it starts with us.
Thank you. It starts with us. Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you. My takeaway for this panel is to inform everybody out there that Lagos State is ready for partnering. We have so much deficit in Lagos State that we need to fill in, and the opportunity is there, the people is there, the energy is there, the resiliency of the state is there. So we want both the local partners and international partners to come to Lagos State. Let's develop entertainment, tourism, and art together. It is a place to go. It is another set of oil that we have in Nigeria, and Lagos is the home. Thank you.
So it's another crude oil. Thank you. Linus?
I having been around folks who are in the young people who are in the creative industry, and training for this number of years, one of the things that I've seen that is incredibly consistent amongst most creative people is that a lot of them are not making money, the type of money they should be making. I think that there is no better time now than for you to begin to build your own showreel. If you know that you have a talent and that you're gifted in one way or the other, understand that creative economies are built organically. And what Lagos State is doing right now is an organic building process that is taking place right now. So if you are creative and you know that you have talent, one way or the other, do not be shy to put together a show reel. There are no borders anymore. You can send us show reels. You never know when the next big thing will happen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So the show reel. Grant, what's your last word?
My last words are, well, hopefully not my last words. For this part. I would say goodbye, everybody. I hope that everyone within the earshot of this television network or internet here takes hold of the opportunity in front of you. I hope that you understand that evolution happens without any of us. It goes forward, and we want to be part of it. So I hope that what you take away from here is inspiration and drive to continue and to support the things that you ask for. Be there to support that in terms of your voting or your standing in line or getting up, showing up, waking up, enrolling your kids in the opportunities that are ahead. Be visionary. Trust it, believe it. For your commissioner to be here giving you all the insight of all the things that are working in the background, and she's been working at it for a very long time, it's an opportunity, so hopefully you'll take advantage of that.
Thank you. So be visionary.
Be visionary.
Idris?
So in addition to what everybody has said, I mean, it's just that we've always said, and it remains a fact, that Lagos is the entertainment capital of Africa. And so my parting words would be that always bet on Lagos.
Always bet. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, let's put our hands together for the panelists. So, thank you. So the Lagos State Development Plan seeks to co-invest in the public sector in the development of a media city with a multi-film and TV studio company. So they are looking for, the commissioner has been stressing, public sector, the government cannot do it alone. They are looking for private sector partnership and collaboration. Another thing that the Lagos State Development Plan seeks to achieve is to partner with industry players to create an audio-visual and interactive media mentorship initiative to support the youth of Lagos. So that's part of the plan that the Lagos State government has for this particular sector. Thank you very, very much for listening and for participating.